And he made first the Ainur, the holy ones, that they were the offspring of his thought, that they were with him before aught else was made. And he spoke to them, propounding to them themes of music, and they sang before him, and he was glad. For a long time they sang, only each one alone, but a few together, while the rest hearkened. For each comprehended only that part of the mind of Iluvatar from which he came, and in the understanding of their brethren they grew but slowly. Yet even as they listened, they came to deeper understanding and increased in unison and harmony. And it came to pass that Iluvatar called together all the Ainur and declared to them a mighty theme, unfolding to them things greater and more wonderful than he had yet revealed. And the glory of his beginning and the splendor of its end amazed the Ainur, so that they bowed before Iluvatar and were silent. Then Iluvatar said to them, of the theme that I have declared to you, I will now that ye make in harmony together a great music. And since I have kindled you with the flame imperishable, ye shall show forth your powers in adorning this theme, each with his own thoughts and devices, if he will. But I will sit and hearken and be glad that through you great beauty has been wakened into song. So you see, Iluvatar starts singing, creates the Ainur, and creates the Ainur so that they can take the song and continue to develop the song. And so in that way, in a sense, great beauty has been glad that through you great beauty shall show forth your powers, that ye make in harmony together a great music. And since I have kindled you with the flame imperishable,
since I have kindled you with the flame imperishable, do you carry the flame? Do you eat people?
ye shall show forth your powers in adorning this theme, each with his own thoughts and devices, if he will. But I will sit and hearken and be glad that through you great beauty has been wakened into song. So you see, Iluvatar starts singing, creates the Ainur, and creates the Ainur so that they can take the song and continue to develop the song. And so in that way, in a sense, glory is multiplied and strengthened and greatened. The voice of the Ainur, like unto harps and lutes and pipes and trumpets and viols and organs and the like, unto countless choirs singing with words, began to fashion the theme of Iluvatar to great music, and a sound arose of endless interchanging melodies woven into harmony that passed beyond hearing into the depths and into the heights, and the places of the dwelling of Iluvatar were filled to overflowing. Then the music and the echo of the music went out into the void, and it was not void. Never since have the Ainur
Tune way you are. And I feel that if we in public television can only make it clear that feelings are mentionable and manageable, we will have done a great service for mental health. I think that it's much more dramatic that two men could be working out their feelings of anger, much more dramatic than showing something of gunfire. I'm constantly concerned about what our children are seeing. And for 15 years, I have tried in this country and Canada to present what I feel is a meaningful expression of care.
As you can probably guess, Fred Rogers' project was an uphill battle. His project was to develop a program that would meet his vision, a program whose purpose was not to garner the attention of children at all costs, but to cultivate the next generation to be shaped by morals, like the common human respect and how to properly manage emotions.
And live things that you saw, I don't know. But this is the American History Museum. And we're going in here to see who's here to see the exhibit and meet up. And I'll hopefully be able to share some stories with people. I can't record the actual tour for legal reasons. The employees of the Smithsonian, there's, whatever that law is, whatever, the term. So I won't be able to record the tour, but I can record the exhibit. I can show you photographs or share the exhibit with you, which might be interesting. I got my t-shirt on. And thanks for joining. I will put live updates on as we go. Okay, thanks.
Or made any music like this music, though it has been said that the great still shall be made before Iluvatar by the choirs of the Ainur and the children of Iluvatar after the end of days. Then the themes of Iluvatar shall be played aright and take being in the moment of their utterance, for all shall then understand fully his intent in their part, and each shall know the comprehension of each, and Iluvatar shall give to their thought the secret fire, being well pleased. But now Iluvatar sat and hearkened, and for a great while it seemed good to him, for in the music there were no flaws. But as the theme progressed, it came into the heart of Melkor to interweave matters of his own imagining that were not in accord with the theme of Iluvatar. For he sought therein to increase the power and the glory of the parts assigned to himself. To Melkor, along with Ainur, had been given the greatest of gifts of power and knowledge, and he had a share in all the gifts of his brethren. He had gone often alone into the void, seeking the imperishable flame. For desire grew hot within him to bring into being things of his own. And it seemed to him that Iluvatar took no thought for the void, and he was impatient of its emptiness. Yet he found not the fire, for it is with Iluvatar. But being alone,
what are the challenges to trust? Because let's think, like in the past, ways in which trust was given ahead of time, was by people having a commitment to shared propositions, right? We all go together and we all say the Apostles' Creed or the Nicene Creed, and that means your public declaration of these things engendered my trust in you before I knew you. It helped it forgave, and I mean, I'm playing on the word forgive here, but to give ahead of time. right?
Right.
It forgave trust. Now, the thing is, we're entering into a space where it's massively pluralistic and where commitments to sets of propositions that we're going to hold to in an unquestioning fashion, that's not part of how this space is working at all, right? So the question is, given that many of the previous ways in which human beings have created widespread networks of trust, what are the alternative mechanisms by which we will bring trust into existence in the way you and I have been talking about?
So this is what I hear you saying in your, so I love the knowing. I wish that we could bring the conversation about the kinds of knowing into the design of church. Like, this is what church is for, is to help us train in knowing God and one another through these like realms. And so many people could say, well, they don't actually exist as separate. Like, totally, I get that. But if you don't recognize their sort of unique elements, then there's a good chance that you're just not going to give them the attention that they deserve. But this is what I heard you saying. I heard you saying that, well, maybe I should say it this way. I want you to hear me say, I know you love me. How could I possibly know that? How could I possibly?
How did you get me to say it? Oh, hey, everybody. What happened was I was set up to stream in half an hour or so, and Grail Country petered out early. And so part of the things I'm showing you now are the choice content I've consumed since the last time I've gone over the stuff I've consumed. We'll get to the actual show on schedule in about half an hour.
Possibly know Paul Vanderklay, a person I've never seen or spoke to in real life. I mean, this is the closest we've ever come. I know that you love me, that you would sacrifice for me personally. Like, in a way you kind of have just by allowing a rando like me to take your time, right? I also know that as insane as it sounds, not only do I know you love me, but I know you trust me. How can I possibly know that? And I know it deeply, I know it. And I know why. And I think that maybe, particularly in just this last video that you made, you have sort of formulated a way of conveying that is similar to what I'm doing to you right now. Because I'm saying this to you, you are seeing proof that it's reciprocal. How can we do that? What is the magic that's happening here?
Yeah.
One thing that I appreciated, just to end it on a personal note, which I also said, I think in a comment to the conversation with DJ Schindler, and that was really like, we always talk about these things like, okay, do they make sense, yes or no? And I really appreciated when you said like, yeah, but you mentioned like DJ Schindler actually thinks we have to go back to going to church in some sense, like that authority in that sense is important. You mentioned that in the conversation, and then you said like, okay, but what do you think then about the John Vervaeke practices? Like, because you're friends with him, and then it was like, well, it's like, we're gonna have to see how that pans out, but mostly I trust him. It's like, and that was so beautiful to me that I was like, and I have that too with John, that I'm like, oh yeah, I trust him to do the right thing. Like, if it doesn't work out, it'll become clear. And I was like, yes, that's it. That's precisely what we're doing in this little corner. Like, we're building up.
Sacrifice your current identity for that pursuit. That's a good way of thinking about it. And as he goes deeper into it, eventually the voice of being and becoming itself speaks to him. And that's what marks his transition to a leader. There are spirits, so to speak, operating within us that aren't under our voluntary control, that have the capacity, for example, to grip our attention. And you said, for example, when we respond with a startled response, there's no conscious intentionality in that. We're gripped by something.
Making use of ideas of integrating relevance realization, predictive processing, we could explain what's going on in people who are autistic, people who are psychotic, and what the variation is in between them.
Does that bit have something to do with like
killing what the demon brings you? The default mode network brings you?
I'm not familiar with what that means. Could you?
I get that the default mode network is what distracts you, and
Yes.
and brings you like, hey, what about this? What about this? What
Oh,
about
I
this?
see. I see. Oh, that's very good. That's
And-
very good.
and-
I would say daemon rather than demon, but okay, that's fine. Yeah.
How this could be used to allow people to connect and get past the status game. So I'm just gonna play with this right now, which is weird. It could be your CEO. It could be your boss. It could be your CEO. It could be your boss. It could be your CEO. It could be your boss. It could be your CEO. It could be your boss. Right? So that would be cool, in my opinion. That would be very cool.
But notice he
That's
says,
essays.
but wait. Cool intellect must not work only against the cool intellect on the other side, but against the muddy. Cool intellect must not work only against the cool intellect on the other side, but against the muddy he's and mysticisms that deny intellect altogether. Side, but against cool intellect.
But wait. Cool intellect must not work only against the cool intellect on the other side, but the something and mysticisms that deny intellect altogether.
Yeah. Not that the past has any magic about it, but because we cannot study the future and yet need something to set against the present to remind us that the basic assumptions have been quite different in different periods, and that much that seems certain to the uneducated is merely temporary fashion. Background and network. Again.
Yep.
Right. We tried to figure out what meaning was. First, we tried to locate it in the word. Then we tried to locate it in the world. Then we tried to locate it in us. And as it turns out, all three of those things are part of the background. Now, what they get right, the postmoderns, is that the background is in some sense radically contingent.
Maybe we're not. Okay. Where are we at on? Is there any consensus on what you all think? Monic.
Oh yeah, he's just like.
Yep. Oh, thanks, man. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, he's just like.
Yep. Oh, thanks, man. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, he's just like.
Yep. Oh, thanks, man. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, he's just like.
Yep. Oh, thanks, man. Go ahead.
The disembodied souls of the Nephilim who were killed during the flood that gave into human bodies when angels had sex rituals with humans in the antediluvian world, who are now trying to distract human beings from God and seek their own destruction so that humans don't ever get elevated above angels in the age to come. Isn't that complicated?
Oh yeah, he's just like.
Half dead, unconscious, crazy state, and they're just blowing in the winds of Earth for the last 76 million years. And so then when the human body evolved through natural selection, which Scientologists are not opposed to necessarily, Hubbard had his own spin on evolution, but it doesn't necessarily contradict with natural selection. That when human bodies arrived here on Earth, a fresh set of thetans that were not exposed to the volcano incident. A fresh set of thetans were rounded up and dropped off to this planet so that this planet could be a prison planet. And L. Ron Hubbard says that if you're on this planet, you were a troublemaker, you were a rebel, you were an artist, you were someone who couldn't be controlled. The system wanted to, didn't like you, thought you were going to help overthrow the system one day. You're like the hippies, spiritual hippies. And so L. Ron Hubbard creates this explanation that this is a prison planet, that we are basically doomed to live lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, with our memories being wiped in the between lives implant station. And that the fact that we live, we believe we live single lives. For the most part, most people on Earth are not spiritual or religious. We believe we came from mud. L. Ron Hubbard was very much, he hates psychiatry, psychiatrists, psychology, Darwin, anything opposed to spirituality, Hubbard, later on claimed to be absolutely against.
And he was impatient of its emptiness. Yet he found not the fire. For it is with Iluvatar. But being alone, he had begun to conceive thoughts of his own, unlike those of his brethren. Some of these thoughts he now wove into his music, and straightway discord arose about him. And many that sang nigh him grew despondent, and their thought was disturbed, and their music faltered. But some began to attune the music to his rather than to the thought which they had at first. This, you can see their fall in terms of the music now. The discord of Melkor spread even wider, and the melodies which had been heard before foundered in a sea of turbulent sound. But Iluvatar...
It feels terribly pertinent to remind you that you can join the Broken Clock Tower Discord in the link in the description.
Sat and hearkened unto it, seemed that about his throne there was a raging storm, as of dark waters that made war one upon another in an endless wrath that would not be assuaged. Then Iluvatar rose, and the Ainur perceived that he smiled, and he lifted up his left hand. And a new theme began amid the storm, like and yet unlike the former theme, and it gathered power and it had new beauty. But the discord of Melkor rose in uproar and contended with it. And again there was war of sound more violent than before, until many of the Ainur were dismayed and sang no longer, and Melkor had the mastery. Then again Iluvatar rose, and the Ainur perceived that his countenance was stern. And he lifted up his right hand, and behold, a third theme grew amid the confusion, and it was unlike the others. For it seemed at first soft and sweet, a mere rippling of gentle sounds in delicate melodies, but it could not be quenched. And it took to itself power and profundity. And it seemed at last that there were two musics progressing at one time before the seat of Iluvatar, and they were utterly at variance. The one was deep and wide and beautiful, but slow and blended with immeasurable sorrow, from which its beauty chiefly came. You can think of C.S. Lewis and his Sensuch.
Say, walk with me, Lord. How y'all doing? Walk with me. Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me. Walk with me. Come on, I want Jesus. I want Jesus. Walk with me. To walk with me. Walk with David, a little shepherd boy. Yeah, you made him a great care. I know David shouted for joy. You walked with David, and he's a little shepherd boy. You made him a great care. And David shouted for joy. That's right. Oh, yeah. So walk with me, Lord. Walk with me. Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me. All along this Jesus journey. Walk with me, Lord. Walk with them.
But the principles which make the background, the network, and our understanding work is that all of it coheres and follows against certain principles which guide the universe, a logos, if you will. And that's why the contingency, the radical contingency of the background doesn't bother me. It is, who was it that said, it is Wittgenstein said, to get rid of all of those assumptions doesn't change anything. It leaves the world exactly as it was. And it leaves the logos right where it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can claim to have deconstructed the logos, but you didn't. You changed you try. What is it? Who was it? Heidegger that said if you change the meaning of the word, you change the meaning of the world? Maybe it was him. I don't know. Maybe it was someone else. Who knows? We're citing the mists of history now. But no. And what certain academics have done is to use their linguistic heft as a way to disempower, to undercut and undermine the moral, epistemological, and social standing of the people who are just trying to get by in life. And they say
amongst each other. And then maybe sometimes it isn't justified, and then you don't fit into the corner. But essentially, if you're constantly opening yourself up for criticism, but not just criticism, like also like relationship, right? Like we build fellowship together, and then it's like, yeah, like do whatever, like go join whatever denomination you like. Like you could be a Christian, you cannot be a Christian, but we basically trust you in some sense, and that's sort of this implicit ethic that is building underneath that. So I'm kind of curious to hear your reflections on that, because I thought that was a beautiful comment by him.
Yeah.
What you have when these mediating structures are sort of liquefied by the chaos that's going on, what you really have are relationships of trust, where you look across the way and say, I trust this person. And I trust this person not because they're saying all the things I want to hear, but because I've been with them and I've watched them. I've watched them live.
Yeah.
And none of us are completely trustworthy, but we get a sense of what we can trust people for and what we can't. And it's all that detailed, real life connection that finally that you really need when chaos reigns. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So that's Paul's last words is go to church, find an estuary, or at least some club, like a knitting club or something, like, be connected with people,
build
your
relationships
families
with people.
That's right.
Another big question is
Listen to
how
him.
would
I
we
think
know that
he is telling us the truth. That is indeed what he wants. Those of you who are sort of sniffing for duplicity or grift or dishonesty, I don't smell any of that here. I think
Tell me that you've lived here your whole life. No, not yet. Are you married? No, no bad habit. No bad habit, eh? Well, what do you chew that tobacco for? For nothing. Nobody's fool enough to pay me for it. Well, tell me, how far is it to the next crossroads? Follow your nose and you'll come to it. Follow your nose, follow your nose and you'll
glamorous unison. You can think of C.S. Lewis and his Sensuch. The other had now achieved a unity of its own, but it was loud and vain and endlessly repeated, and it had little harmony, but rather a clamorous unison as of many trumpets braying upon a few notes. And it essayed to drown the other music by the violence of its voice. But it seemed that its most triumphant notes were taken from the other and woven into its own solemn pattern. In the midst of this strife, whereat the halls of Iluvatar shook, and a tremor ran out into silence yet unmoved, Iluvatar rose a third time, and his face was terrible to behold. Then he raised up both hands, and in one chord, deeper than the abyss, higher than the firmament, piercing as the light of the eye of Iluvatar, the music ceased. Then Iluvatar spoke, and he said, "Mighty are the Ainur, and the mightiest among..."
All right, this is what it looks like when you wear the t-shirt they give you at the Symbolic World Conference. You can see I keep it folded, not hung. There's going to be another wardrobe change. This is the If There's Anything I Can Do stream intentionality network. That's I don't know. Who do you think that is in the thumbnail there? Put your guess in the Hive Mind chat. Welcome. Everything you've seen up until now has been pre-show because Grail Country ended early, but it gave a little background maybe for what we're going to be talking about here. I don't know. Here, we'll get to it. We're about to start the show. We're almost there. Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
That's about where we are right now. We're getting towards the crucifixion.
There you go.
Okay.
That's it. Go ahead, David. Your turn.
Ooh, good song. Here we go.
There's a train coming. You don't need nobody. You just get on board. All you need is space to hear the diesel humming. You don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord.
What do you want? Okay, no more harmonica, dude, I promise. It's fine. In the case of mistaken identity, that dog bark himself was once banned from commenting on the channel. I believe it's been undone. He doesn't show up in the banned commenter list, but we haven't seen a comment, so I guess maybe not. Jack of Hearts is the show for this card of the stream.
So this is how bad I have failed the Seething's throes for mind control. Dum 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 dum. Dum dum da dum. It's that bad. And whoosh.
You're right, Well of Zamzam. Membership does have its privileges, and we have a new member, which means slightly new income, which is just as good as a super chat, which means we can finally start the show. Hey! At the start of the show, we do a savings throw against mind control. It's not a sieving throw, or is it? If you noticed, and I'd love to highlight it, that he bothered to film this entire thing. He took the time to get out his camera and make this. And then let it go with this.
So this is how bad I have failed the Seething's throes for
Sieving throws. What are sieving throws? Well, a sieve is what you put the spaghetti in to get the water out. And isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Well, here they are. You can have them against the mind control, the sieving or savings throws, where you get to choose between, no, this one, survival, social, wisdom, or heart. As the basis for your savings throw, I roll the die. If it's over 10, you take half damage from the mind control that follows in the rest of the show and the rest of your day. If it's under 10, you take full damages. There are ways to get bonuses. But first, you must choose. And Survival is getting a strong 16 on today's savings throws. Socialists, on the other hand, coming in with just the Trinity. You're going to need a lot of help, or maybe this show is meant for you. Lovers of Wisdom, 16 for you. Will pairing up with the Survivalist. Heart coming in at prime 19. You're going to be fine. And Indigo Kids with the prime 17 showing. A prime 17 showing. Guess what? What? You're live streaming. Okay.
Like love. Love is worth saving.
I don't know love. Now encompasses everything. Does it not?
It's all there is.
It's all there is.
You choose survival, social, wisdom, or heart.
See, you've given yourself up. But this is the most powerful thing that can be done. Surrender. See, and love is an act of surrender to another person. Total abandonment. I give myself to you. Take me, do anything you like with me. See? So, and that's quite mad. So we come to the strange conclusion that in madness lies sanity.
And how is it, Grim? You get through a live stream every day without losing your mind. Well, first we have a title. We got to make sure we talk about the title, and then we have a one of these thumbnails here. We got to make sure we talk about the thumbnail there, and then also we have these cards. These cards here. This one says burn hyplomene, burn hyplomene, and intentionality network. So those are the things we're going to talk about today because they're either on the thumbnail, on the card, or on the card. And here's another card because apparently we like them. The 9 of Spades. The 9 of Spades. Welcome, everybody. This is a stream. Hezzy, don't leave yet. I got something I got to ask you real quick soon.
I'm not a cat.
We all know that there is no agency any living gent can see. Doing what is right for me is lifting up my bro so he can grow some eyes to see that doing what is right for me increases all our agency.
But first, and in great morning. What a jackass. I know. But the pre-show was Dumir. That clip of the Iluvatar whatnot was all Dumir's doing, not my own. I never went back and pulled that out of Pastor Paul's show, even though it was good. What are you looking for? Well, this one time, somewhere in the Hive Mind chat, someone chose spaghetti. No, it was before the savings. So here it is. The Well of Zamzam said membership has its privileges. And you know, the thing is, when the YouTube monetization finally came through, I didn't really think out what the special privileges of membership for the higher function should be. I just said it on a live stream once. And so should anyone decide to claim those membership benefits, the Shadow Secret benefits, I would have to go back and find what live stream I said it in. And up until today, that would have been done at this-little-corner.com, but I tried to go there this morning. I press refresh now, and it cannot be reached. Apparently, we're under we've had a significant casualty in our functionality at this-little-corner.com. So we're going to have to get Waves of Obsession and somebody, Gavin and whoever else together and build a replacement. Apparently, we've lost a terribly nice tool. And now to figure out what benefits you get from the Supreme membership is going to take a lot of work.
Is everything all right in here?
Yes, Nanny.
But that's okay, because the regular channel benefits membership of getting to use the goose emoji and the VNA emoji and the lobster monkey Denny emoji are just a colon away. Leave out the underscore. And you can do it too. And thank you for being part of the shadow cabal of production executives that keep me alive.
Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal. So say we all.
Now, Hezi is actually a busy man with a real life and a family, so let's get to that part of this. The thumbnail, sir. The thumbnail, sir, was what I fed when I fed the word Gethsemane. Gethsemane, Gethsemane. I heard it often pronounced into the AI chatbots, and looking it up, it turns out it means olive oil press. But I'd like to know how to pronounce these words. This Gethsemane and this Harhasitim one. Those things, how to actually say that properly is what I'd like from you, sir. A little quick video, maybe.
Remember, everybody, there is no agency. We want what's best.
LARP. We have the ability to LARP and LARP hard.
Riff harder, riff harder. Riff harder, riff harder. Riff harder, riff harder.
LARP. We have the ability to LARP and LARP hard.
Riff harder, riff harder.
That was a McMo one, I think. I believe that was a McMo masterpiece. I think that was his stylistic impression, signature thereof.
What's reality? I don't know. When my bird was looking at my computer monitor, I thought, that bird has no idea what he's looking at. And yet, what does the bird do? Does he panic? No, he can't really panic. He just does the best he can. Is he able to live in a world where he's so ignorant? Well, he doesn't really have a choice. The bird's okay, even though he doesn't understand the world. You're that bird looking at the monitor, and you're thinking to yourself, I can figure this out. Maybe you have some bird ideas. Maybe that's the best.
No, I don't like that bit. Okay, so what happens now is I'm looking into this. This thumbnail I made, it says Intentionality Network, and it's also got Gethsemane, and so this background and network thing was really officially introduced into the corner, seeded, if you will, here, there, then here's this right here.
Everyone, whether ostensibly what they declared or didn't declare confessionally didn't matter because all of their assumptions were baked in. And now at this higher level of pluralism, everything's like, oh, well, wait a minute. What do we agree on? And then suddenly you're back asking much more ontological questions. Which means that old issues now reemerge.
Part of the, so this is related to what Cyril calls the background in the network. When Jordan talks about the counter enlightenment, I had several conversations with his wife explaining postmodernism, and at some point I'm going to push back on what him and Vervaeke, some of what him and Vervaeke say. I think they get a lot right, but they also get a lot wrong. Well, no, I shouldn't say they get a lot wrong. They get a lot which could be taken to be wrong if we don't really nail down exactly what's being said.
Okay.
Because we're dealing with such fine-grained issues, there's a problem of communication that exists. I haven't read Jordan's new book. I'm assuming he's a very clear writer and he'll get it down. But there's a couple of things I want to
book
talk
isn't
about.
out. Book isn't
All
out until
right, all
November.
right. To be fair, I just searched out the background in the first place. I found it, and then I went back a couple minutes. Let's see if we can do better than that. Background. There we go. Maybe it's this one. Do we go there? We did that.
About the background, the network, and the
There we
network of intentionality is all the ideas, all of your intentional conscious content, right? Everything that's about something, dreams, visions, ideas, thoughts, goals, all the artifacts of consciousness, the things that furnish your conscious world and your ideas. That's right. Intentionality just means ofness or aboutness. So anytime you have a thought of something or about something, that's intentionality.
Yep.
And he's saying you have a network of intentionality, all of these intentional bits of intentionality of knowing things and feeling things and having thoughts about things and imagination, and all of that forms a network of intentionality. And that gets meaning up against a background. And the background is a set of capacities, things like knowing a language, having a prefrontal cortex, being able to see, having senses, the capacity to use language, the ability to think. And the back.
Yada. So there's that, and that's an internal network of intentionality and background. But as you know, we're meta around here. So what we're doing is we're scaling it up one, and we are the intentionality network, and the background is reality, and the interface is. You see where I went? That's why the thumbnail. That's why it says intentionality network. The Gethsemane part that well, we're gonna check on that in a minute, but first let's okay, all right. Showstopper CW, our own little Red Room villain. He says, why is this Canadian an American political operative? And let me tell you, CW. Turns out that the Central Intelligence Agency has been given powers or purpose. His purpose and powers is actually for foreign fields, and like for it to do things domestically was like, oh, why are you doing this domestically? You're the foreign guys, Canada. What? But remember, Embody, there's only this agency. There's only this agency.
Let me ask you about this. So now all of a sudden, the network, everyone's a TV station.
It really works well when the actual orientation is love.
The very processes that make us intelligently adaptive also make us vulnerable to self-deceptive, self-destructive behavior.
Care, capacity to be agents, being a self-organizing, self-correcting, self-optimizing. Care, capacity to be agents, self-developing, evolving process. Care to create the conditions of meaning. They care to create the conditions of meaning making, what we're actually engaging in, is agape.
Each of us has an angel.
Agape is to love for its own sake, the process. Because my valuing of it does not constitute it into existence. I emerge from it and participate in it. We have to care about the conditions that make any caring possible. And your situational awareness, the states of consciousness you get access to, ultimately depend on your character.
Well, that's a lot to swallow.
That when we care to create the conditions of meaning making because we find them inherently valuable, because that is constitutive of our capacity to be agents and to value anything else. When we're doing that, what we're actually engaging in is agape. It's love. Let's remember this. We've lost the nomological, this deep sense of coherence and connectedness. We lost the normative order, sense of significance, depth through self-transcendence. As we've lost this, right, we have a worldview, again, in which we don't belong, and in which our projects don't belong. It's something that people are already doing.
Each of us has an angel.
We can address the process of alienation through the cultivation of communitas. We can respond to existential entrapment by the cultivation of gnosis.
Gnosticism is a perennial heresy.
The process of meaning making is the process of being a person. Mind is not programmed software or rule-bound manipulation of symbols. Instead, the mind arises through immediate coping with the world. The way we are evolving the sensory motor loop, right? So that we deal with the problems at hand. Think about how this just sings to everything we've been doing here, right?
Offer you an opportunity to.
Yeah, you guys can still do the Aliens project. That's fun. It's fun. It never caught on. And one thing it's basically, what's your cosmology? And if you don't know what a cosmology is, the way that it's easiest for me to understand is it's okay. There was once a guy, the three of spades, who went on the stand and he said there are knowns and unknowns. Okay, so it's like the four whats of knowing, right? There's like the things you know, and then there's the things you don't know. And of the things you don't know, there's some of the things you don't know, you don't know. Those are the known unknowns, right? Like, I know that, but I don't know. And then there's the unknown, the stuff you don't know. And that guy and that thing is basically the best way to understand what a cosmology is. A cosmology is all the unknown unknowns is how you're going to guess at those or integrate their existence into your being in such a way that you can function in a sane manner rather than shivering and timbering over the unknown unknowns. Does that make any sense? Where the crow searches. Yes, that's the best saint I've found so far. Thank you, sir. Thank you, well of Zam Zam. Okay, this is the dream catcher of optimal grip. Take a good look. Draw your own. I don't. That's what the AI bots fed me the one time I said it, and we've just been.
So say we all. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Ho, ho, ho.
The list?
Yes, any of the first level ones.
I'm gonna get a soda. Anyone want one? Hey, Graham, I'm not in the room, right?
What room? I want to cast Magic Missile.
The room where he's casting all these spells from.
He hasn't cast anything yet. I am, though, if you'd listen. I'm casting Magic Missile.
Why are you casting Magic Missile? There's nothing to attack here.
I'm attacking the darkness.
left the branding up. Son of a... Okay. Denny, save us from it. All right, now it's gone. Thanks, Denny. You're our hero. You're our hero. Welcome, everybody. This is apparently what we're calling the If There's Anything I Can Do intentionality network stream. We went over the intentionality network to the extent that we're forming one here. This TLC you hear people talking about, it's really an intentionality network. A lot of us don't know what the intention is, but we know there's a higher intention that we're intentionally intentioning. And I personally believe it involves working for the agency, and where you're not working for an agency, you're working for the agency or the capacity of agency in the agents around you. Brilliantly summarized in this here shanty.
We all know that there is no agency any living gent can see doing what is right for me. Is lifting up my bro so he can grow some eyes to see that doing what is right for me increases all our agency.
Now, cosmology is like the Big Bang Theory would be considered a cosmology, a dead one, a dead cosmology that requires that miracle. But other cosmologies are like, all right, so why did God put those people in the garden? Why? Personal take is because he wanted to tell Jesus a bedtime story, but why? I don't have any of that. So one of the alternatives. See, you got to have something. You got to have something that frames the unknown, and they can really twist your orientation toward whether this is hell or this could be heaven, while we're processing through the thing, and. So part of my personal favorite of, because you can change them like t-shirts. One of the ones I like to put on is that of the spiritual Sardukar, which it turns out now. This thumbnail here, this Gethsemane, this Garden of Gethsemane, that's famously, as I know it, the take this cup part of the Bible. To take this cup from me, bro. It's I don't like it. I don't like it. And something about the name Gethsemane made me think of Hippomene, and also there's this other character in the TLC, if you don't know where, but he's a library mover. He's grifter supreme. I mean, and doxes you when you grift with you submit in this grift as if he's an agent working out of the Black Sea area in Soviet Georgia. But anyway, once upon a time, he and I had a discussion, a dialogue, as he calls them, on his channel, and it's always stuck with me, certain parts of it. This one in particular.
Want to get out of.
Help me say that.
Huh?
Help me say that.
It's Hupomene. That is the best in my book. It's probably spelled HY, but whatever. But it's
I like the poem.
It means to stay under the pressure, and it's the pressure of the wine press until delivered. And then that produces faith, and the faith produces character. And the character to me is the wine, because it's got to suffer. I mean, that's one of the things. I'm living in Georgia now, and everyone knows wine has to suffer in order to be made. It suffers in the ground. The grapes do. The grapes don't like good ground. They like bad.
Can you say wine has to suffer in Georgian?
No, I can't.
Can you next time we talk?
I will try, but it's probably
wine has to.
Now, as you may or may not know, I'm building an army on the Discord of capable lobster monkeys, and I have this character class in this LARPgate game called Accountability Stalker. Now, this moment right here, is a primo like the accountability stalkers bring accountability stalking material, and this here is one of them they might have grabbed.
Has to suffer in Georgian.
Good ground. They
Can
like
you
that.
say wine has to suffer in Georgian?
No, I can't.
Can you next time we talk?
I will try, but it's probably
Wine has.
There it is. There it is. Now, see these are the fun little games we can play together. See, the thing about that holds this thing together is that we see each other, and that's. By the way, you can help me not die by visiting over at the Buy Me a Coffee link at the top of the screen, and or probably in the description. We're currently proceeding to try to get the Lobster Monkeys to unlock this masterful stream, the I See Me Comparative Phrenology stream, a special fancy pants live stream I'm going to do once we reach that Buy Me a Coffee link. That's the new grift, because Lance said the grift harder, and he's part of the Shadow Cabal.
Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal. So say we all.
All right, now let's finish knocking out this card here. The card also says Beauregard background tree. Beauregard background tree, and that's going to be because this guy here on the left is a character you might need to know named No Vocal Distance. He is most famous for bringing into the corner what we call Beauregard strawberries, which is like how you can ruin a thing by like extracting the essence of the thing and yada yada. It's Beauregard strawberries. He was already famous for us in the corner for bringing us that, and now he's brought us this network and background thing through which we perceive and can perceive and make ourselves better from.
I believe that if everyone sees what just a few people become when they wholly embrace their gifts, others will awaken.
All right, and now we approach what is going to be the absolutely not fun for me at all part of the stream. If there's anything I can do, here's the branding it takes me to get ready for that.
This means that the individual's psyche is far from being safely synthesized. On the contrary, it threatens to fragment only too easily under the onslaught of unchecked emotions. While this situation is familiar to us from the studies of anthropologists, it is not so irrelevant to our own advanced civilization as it might seem. We too can become dissociated and lose our identity. We can be possessed and altered by moods or become unreasonable and unable to recall important facts about ourselves or others, so that people ask, "What the devil has gotten into you?" We talk about being able to control ourselves, but self-control is a rare and remarkable virtue.
But so the intention is like this will be, I'll cut this part off and leave it as a video.
Keep it coming. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Oh, congratulations. I've gotten a temporary reprieve. It turns out that I had this tab over here open for the show today, and that is a retweet by one Mary Harrington, where she says, not sure who needs to hear this today, but one of the key differences between civilization and biomass is fathers forming their sons. Her retweet of Andrew Tate, who has seemingly begun full helter-skelter race war and or Sharia law with his "Dear white men, you're fucked" tweet, which I will read to you now. You're being replaced because none of you have children. Even those bit of you bitching about the replacement online like little girls don't find the gumption to fuck. I see white men bragging about having 5 kids as if it's an achievement. Lol. 5? Lol lol. Lol lol. Cobra Tate says lol lol. Per year, right? Oh, all you white boys lost control of your women and now they won't accept multiple wives anymore. Now they tell you they don't want kids anymore. 1 is enough. They don't want their God to do their God-given job anymore. No, they want Instagram likes instead. They have the enmity for the womb. What? Shh. So your genetic potential is stumped by the whims of some singular female. A female who takes 9 whole months to grow a single baby. Unlike the factories we're working on, other races have multiple ovens for bread. We're not cooked. Some just Dear White Men by Andrew Tate, Full Race War. Welcome, but let's talk about denominational stuff some more, shall we? So, let's do this shitty part of the stream. No. First, one nice one from Mercow to set the mood, and then we'll do the shitty part of the stream.
Right, so I'm punching out for the day. And then I have a prayer that I say. And I might even ask for God to help me see these things in prayer.
Don't you think there's also a way that gratitude transforms us? I mean, gratitude sort of rewrites the past, changes the story. The more gratitude that we have, the more it sort of transforms our story.
A connection between memory, attention, and prayer. That there's a through line there with those concepts. Do either of you have any thoughts on that, or?
Well, I think these are prayers that we don't even know that we utter. I think that happens, when you get to see a through line, like Michael just described, right? When you get to look back over your life, God willing that you live long enough to be able to do that, and you see that happening, you realize that there is a prayer there that actually came from you, but wasn't prayed by you. At that realization, one utters a prayer of gratitude, right? Because then one is made aware of that process in which they were engaged. And engaged is actually a really good word. It's like a train, You've clicked into something and it's pulling you up that hill and you don't even know.
It's the connection to your wild twin or guardian angel.
The recent events have caused me to return to verbal prayers. There's an evolution of my prayer history. I used to do it, and then at one point I decided that well, it's just your will be done, man. I don't even know, and so I quit. And then there was like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with the praying, so I'll just like go feel what's in my heart and like broadcast that and let that be my prayer. But recently events have driven me back to asking for things and requesting things. And part of that process, I started with the Lord's Prayer, and that's a great one. But lead us not into temptation, because we know how that ends. But also one thing that happened was the initial prayer I was invoked into, even though my family was particularly irreligious, was the now I lay me down to sleep prayer. And it's traditional, or as I was taught, that you ask for protection for those you love. And as I reinitiated that practice, it reminded me, I noticed that it was basically you reminding yourself of the people you care about enough to include in that, hey, God, watch out for these guys part. And that I've found to be particularly potent, even like whether or not the prayers work or there is any actual protection, just the practice of remembering, of bringing to your own mind those that you care enough about to include in that it does. I don't know. For me, I suppose it refocuses me on what has proven to be important over it's the care. It reminds you of the care you have, and if nothing else, perhaps that is potent. Okay, so as you may know, on a Friday morning, the dogs woke me up, and I found who you may know as Marty Stouffer or Pete Kayfabe from the Hive Mind chats had left this realm, in this house. And if there's anything I can do, is something that you're going to hear a lot of if anything similar happens in your life. And the Nine of Spades is back. Turns out I'm Grimgriz, so I have an answer for that. I don't know if it's a question you people say just to make you feel better or whatever. I had my friend over for a couple of days to help out, and he's like, "What do you want for dinner?" And I'm like, dude, you're adding decisions to me. This is not helpful. Is there anything I can do? Help me, hey man, why don't you stop your grieving process and think of some way for me to help you? And so I have. You see, let me start loading it up, actually. Let me just load it up. Meanwhile, that's only 23 seconds.
We're not able enough. There's something you can do that you are regarding as trivial, that you could do, that you want to do, that would result in an actual improvement, but it's not a big enough improvement for you, so you won't lower yourself enough to take the opportunity. Hi, this is Paul. I don't.
Okay. No, you didn't share tab. So, according to Google, the Quartz Mountain Lodge Resorts, Arts, and Conference Center is a large-style hotel located in Lone Wolf, Oklahoma. It is situated near the Wichita Mountains and overlooks Lake Altus Lugert, which is nearby, and it's a nearby conference center. So here's what you can do. You can get together and form a conference at this here lodge where we can invite all this, at least like every church will have them send an emissary, because there's like 47 churches around here. We'll have them all come up and do an estuary. We'll have Jean Van Donk and Pastor Paul and whoever else come talk, right, for us. And we can gather here at this place. Meanwhile, Tectonic Mike and friends can organize those of you who have the skill sets required to do what we call flipping a house. And you can come to this house, and they would really help if you would make it so it would sell for more money. See, I need to get about 50 grand out of it, but whatever came off of that 50 grand, Petcow, Tectonic, whatever, you could have, you'd split amongst yourself. That'd be fine. But I need to sever my relationship with this place, this domicile. And one great way to do that, I thought, would be for Mike to have a bunch of guys do a project of the Tectonic School while they did it, and then they could stop by the churches like they were missionaries and give a little presentations as we're commingling in exchange for the estuary performance they get to attend for free. I don't know how to do these things. This is if there's anything you can do to help. Other than that, financial things help me buy food and stuff. And but a lot of people just want to talk. And see what I got was her story, right? That's mine now. And so the way this works out in my head, if it's beautiful, is that somebody takes responsibility for the beloved felines, and I take the dog up to me with me on the pilgrimage. Thereafter, I write, I give her story the attention, the voice it deserves by typing the rights. And so that's there. If there's anything you can do, that's it. That's it. You can do that.
I listen to him. I think he is telling us the truth. That is indeed what he wants. Those of you who are sort of sniffing for duplicity or grift or dishonesty, I don't smell any of that here. I think he